I'd like to welcome you all tonight. This is officially a meeting of the school committee, but this is all you're going to hear from us. Hopefully it'll be the easiest meeting we've had yet. All I'm going to do is introduce Dr. Guido Sabelli, who's going to run the show tonight. As you know, he's a principal of Vinson, Owen, and put in a tremendous amount of work along with everybody else at the front of the room into some cute computer ideas, and he'll explain as we go. But Dr. Sabelli, if you could take over, it's all yours.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm excited about what's happening here. I hope that you'll find it exciting as well. I'd like to thank Yvette Markey and her company System Builders for the artwork and the invitations. I'd also like to thank Denise Medallion and Vinson Parent Association for helping setting up the room, for providing the refreshments. And to Judy Bees for the beautiful bulletin boards she made in the foyer. It really captured the spirit of what we're trying to achieve in our collaborative efforts with the companies that are represented here. I'd like to introduce these people to you now. Jim Albright from Digital, Ed Halligan from Continental Cable, Luzbe Yassini, Land City, Chuck Hitchcock from Johnson's Learning, Paul Vitoli from Desktop Video Systems. Steve Kelly should be here momentarily. Tonight's program will be in 4 parts. The first part is some background and explanation of the pilot project with IBM and YCAT, which has been running in the 4 classrooms upstairs here since March of this year. That pilot will be extended to the other elementary schools via a wide area network using the institutional loop provided by Continental Cable. In addition, we'll be adding the capability for interactive video. That will be the subject of the second part of the program. The third part will detail where we go from here in terms of evaluating the pilots and beginning work on a proposed 5-year plan for use of technology in Winchester schools. And finally, at the end of the program, I'd like to invite you to visit the classrooms where the pilot has been running and see firsthand how an integrated learning system works. Before I bring up Chuck to demonstrate the integrated learning system software, I'd like to give some background in terms of the purpose of the pilot. The classic dilemma of classroom teaching. The teacher on the left has a child-centered classroom where children are allowed to follow their interests. The activities are often hands-on and discovery-based. This teacher is a craftsman and is very effective in what he does. However, he quickly runs up against the constraints of time, the 20-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Therefore, he's never really sure if the children in his class have mastery of all the necessary skills. The teacher on the right has a traditional classroom with rows of desks, lots of workbooks, ditto papers. He uses the shotgun method of instruction. All children pass through the same standardized curriculum, are given instruction and practice and skills whether they need them or not. There's a high level of skill mastery in his class, but little attention to individual differences and high level thinking skills. The purpose of the VO pilot is to determine whether reducing the burden of skill management would free the teacher to assume more fully the role of the teacher on the left. More specifically, to improve the quality of the interactions that take place within the classroom. This is in line with the general thrust of the curriculum being put forward by the elementary school principal. In math, the University of Chicago math program is based on the National Council of Mathematics Teacher Standard and emphasizes a hands-on approach to learning. The new science kits, also bought by Eisenhower grant money, are discovery-based. In language arts, the emphasis is on developing a love of literature, and children using functional spelling are writing from the first day in kindergarten. The ILS is one way that technology can help us to meet our curriculum goals.
Actually, I have the easy job. Nancy's going to do the hard work. And I have the easy job because I'm just going to chat with you about what we've been doing here, a little bit about integrated learning systems. Can you hear me okay in the back? The room has pretty good sound. I want to tell you, first of all, I'm Chuck Hitchcock. I work for a company called Johnson's Learning. We're the largest education courseware developer in the world. Education courseware, not the largest courseware developer. And I came from White Cat Systems, where I've worked for the last year. We recently, bring this up? Yeah. We've recently merged. Thank you. There it is. Sure, that's terrific. White Cat and Johnson's recently merged in August, and so we're all part of a very, very large organization now. And the reason I mention that is when you see some of our literature that says White Cat on it, you'll know that it's really now under the Johnson's name. Johnson's, as you probably know, is a company that's been in the education market for 100 years with yearbooks and rings and awards and so on. And it's a company that began buying into educational technology companies about 7 or 8 years ago. Personally, I've been involved with educational technology for about 10 years and got a little bit cynical. You take a look around at what we've done in schools with technology in 10 years, and anyone who's watched it closely has probably noticed that not an awful lot of our classrooms has changed yet, and leading to some modest cynicism, even though I work in this field. And I didn't always work for companies that do this. I ran a statewide technology training center for teachers that I started and had state funding for 5 years. Worked for Apple for 2 years, and then decided that real action was on the software side, not on the hardware side of the business. But the important questions had little to do with computers, I discovered while working at Apple. They have to do with teaching and learning environments and educational issues, curriculum issues, and have very little to do with computers, which shortly will be viewed by most of us as microwave ovens, this vehicle. And my interests now focus more around how we use that technology to help kids to develop higher order thinking skills, to create learning environments where, as Vito said, and Dr. Savelli said, where teachers are freed somewhat perhaps from the usual day-to-day constraints of working through a Basel reader, through Basel math textbooks, can begin working collaborative learning environments, and can begin creating the kind of environments for kids to research, kids to production, and the integrated learning system enables the teacher to do is retreat somewhat from the individual instruction around reading, mathematics, and writing skills, knowing that those sequential skills will be developed by the computer-based system, again, freeing the teacher to focus more on things like literature and research and so on. Basically, an integrated learning system is made up of just a few components, and you get a chance to see a couple of those when you go up to the rooms a little bit later on. One is a management system that sits on a server, and that management system basically allows us to enter kids into the system, to enroll them, to assign them to various courses or lessons. There's a testing component as part of that integrated learning system as well, and we can bypass it or we can use it to place kids appropriately within the curriculum so they get completely individualized reading, math, and writing instruction. There's also, the system is networked now, so all the students are networked and connected back to a single server, so we can generate reports. We can generate a report for all second graders, or we can generate a report for just a small group of youngsters, or we can determine how many youngsters have achieved their objective, for example. There's also training and support, a critical part of implementing a integrated learning system, and Nancy Fiddler is with us this evening. Nancy's been instrumental in working with the 2 second grade teachers and the 2 fourth grade teachers here at Vinson Owen in implementing our integrated learning pilot system. I want to share a little bit about the technology which is evolving now on the Johnson side of the house. And again, I came from White Cat, we're now with Johnson. Johnson's has been working actively for the last couple of years on a new technology to deliver courseware over network that will accomplish some of what you're going to see here this evening through some of the work being done by DEC. And what we've done is to create basically a, did we hand out the green ones also, Nancy? Thanks.
What happened to Play-Doh?
Actually, White Cat was married for a while to Play-Doh, and they had, I guess they agreed to a divorce back, well, I would guess probably 5 years ago. Good question. Control Data had a subdivision called Play-Doh, which had courseware geared primarily towards the high school market and the university market. And apparently the marriage was not a pleasant one for some reason.
Some of them aren't.
This technology that Jostens has been working on is basically one of that we call interactive media. And I just put together a quick one-page description. It's not on the market yet. It is being field tested in schools around the country this fall. It's not here at this school at this point. But what we've done is basically created an environment where we accept video from any signal, satellite, tape, or video disc, or whatever, compress it by a factor of 80, put it on a hard drive, and then send it out digitized over the network wire to the individual workstations in the school. The important work, however, is not the creation of that technology. Even though we'll have a card that will decompress, it's called V-card, it's on the wrist there. We have a card that will decompress that signal and put it up in the window on the computer screen and become part of the courseware. The important part of all of this has nothing to do with the technology. It's development of courseware appropriate to youngsters that uses live video rather than just graphics in the courseware. You won't see that tonight in the room up here, but you'll see tech demonstrating that achievement here shortly. I've asked Nancy Fiddler if she would do just a brief demonstration of a lesson. I realize the monitor is small. There are more people here than I anticipated. However, really, I'm not so interested in your seeing all the details of our courseware and how it works, except to know that we cover kindergarten through adult. We prepare youngsters for GED if that's appropriate. We cover reading, mathematics, writing, sciences. We have advanced algebra and geometry courses. But more important right now for the purpose of the demonstration, what I wanted Nancy to have a chance to do is just to give you a feel for what's involved in a lesson, a single lesson that a youngster might experience in the system. And you'll want to keep in mind that when the youngster's working on the system, as you'll see them later up in the rooms, the network server is keeping a record of what the youngster accomplishes. In fact, if a youngster runs out of time, at any point they can press the escape key. When they come back and log on again, they'll pick up exactly where they left off again. And probably most important about the White Cat management system is that we give the teacher complete control over delivery of the lessons. So it's possible, for example, for a teacher to create a theme-based lesson across the curriculum. To take a reading lesson, a writing lesson, and a mathematics lesson, all having to do with discovery in Columbus or whatever, and to put those together into a theme-based lesson to be delivered to an individual, to a group, or to a whole class. And AIMS is the first management system that makes that possible. I'm going to stop for just a minute and let's take a quick look at the lesson, Nancy.
Thanks, Jim. This is just going to be a very quick look at a little bit of what we have on the system. What we thought we'd show you is one of our problem solving on the second grade level. And in the problem solving area, we also have a calculator that can be utilized by the students. What we're looking for is a process that the students go through to answer the questions, not necessarily that they have the computation, but that they know the process of getting that answer. And basically, we always set a purpose. The purpose is, in this activity, you solve problems about 6 kids who are good friends. And on this is our first problem. Over here, we have 5 different boxes that the student needs to fill in. He needs to master 5 activities in order to move on to the next activity. One of the options that teachers have is to set the mastery level so that if they feel that their student should achieve at a certain rate before going on, set that up. They can set it up for a whole group or for individual children, so that if you have some students in your class that you would like to see achieving at 85%, and other students that you want to achieve at 75% before going on, you can set that up within the computer. And it's done automatically, and when the student signs on, they're signing on to their particular program, so that if I'm working on something, I don't necessarily have to be doing exactly what my neighbor is doing. I don't have to be doing the same assignment. I don't even have to be working in the same curriculum area. I can be doing reading while someone else is doing math and someone else doing writing on the same computers. Because what happens is when you sign in, it's going to go into your program. As Chuck mentioned, it's going to go exactly where you left off. So if I've already done 3 activities, I'm going to start out off with the 4th one and not have to repeat those first 3. This one, the question is, Tommy has 2 arms, 2 dogs, 3 cats, 10 toes, and 5 goldfish. How many pets does he have? So if the student was able to answer the question and could just type in an answer, they can just type it in where the cursor is. But if they have problems or they're not sure exactly what to do, at the bottom of the screen are what we call prompts. And students can access these prompts at any time. One prompt that is helpful for the students is the help prompt. And that's the F1 key, and they would hit the F1. The computer screen will tell you this is the first help before. Which numbers do you need to help you answer the questions? I'm not sure, so I'm going to ask for another help. The next help says arms and toes are not pets, so that's giving me a little bit more information because we're talking about arms and toes up here in the question. So I know they're not pets, but I'm still not really sure what I want to do. So I'm going to press the help again. What operation could you use? So we're trying to help the students to figure out what they should be looking for, what information, and what kind of operations they're going to be using. We're not giving them the answer. Even with the 4th help that I'll go to now, this is try adding. It doesn't tell us what to add, so the students still need to work on that. Down here, we also have a C, which accesses the calculator. By just touching the C on the computer screen, we can come up with a calculator, just like a handheld calculator that you would use. And the students all have handheld calculators that they use in their classrooms anyway, but here it's right on the screen. So what we would do is we would start off by pressing 2 plus 3 plus 5, and then we're going to hit the equal sign, and we have an answer of 10 down here. We turn off the calculator because we want to go back up into the actual question and put the answer right here. How many pets do we have? We're going to transfer this number. It's not going to disappear from our calculator, and we're going to put 10 up here. And here we'll say yes. You got this right. And we'll sign on over in the little corner with a little circle saying that you got that correct. At the end of when the student finishes all 5 activities, they're going to get a score. And the score will be seen by the students, and if the teacher so chooses, the students can go back in to get a higher score if they'd like to. But those are all teacher options that the teachers can set for each different students. When the student finishes this, they go directly on to another activity that is related. Our lessons are set up so that this one happens to be addition, and there may be problem solving for addition, there may be some drawing practice, there may be some concept development. They all tie into a lesson on addition. But the teachers can really, as Chuck mentioned, they can pull together some activities, and we did that, and the teachers here took to this very quickly, and they decided to do some graphing activities and some estimating activities, and they put some different activities together, and they called it an estimating assignment. And when you go up to the lab later on, you can see some of the assignments that the teachers have made and that the students have worked on the computers. As Chuck mentioned, everything is kept in a file under that student's name. The teachers can get out information at any point. They can go back and say, what did they do last May from this date to that date? They can set up a date parameter, and they can have that. They also have gone through the testing procedure. We have an online test similar to any of the standardized tests the student goes through a test and automatically the system prescribes for that student those objectives that he or she has missed and has not mastered. So each student is working on an individual education plan that has been set up by the computer. The teachers don't have to do anything to the computer program because it automatically sets it up for the students, but they can afterwards set up something that's specific to their classroom.
Can the teachers access this while the student's working on it?
Yes.
Can they see what the student's doing when they do it?
Can they see what?
On their own screen?
On their own screen, no, they can't. As soon as the student finishes, his record is closed and they can get information out on it. You can see what lesson they're doing, but you can't get in and see exactly what they're doing in that particular lesson. But there are parameters set up that if the student fails, and you can set up the fail rate also, if they fail, that you're called over and asked to be at that particular one so that you know that the student's having difficulty right at the point that they're having difficulty, not go on before, after them.
Each child has his or her own access code,
Yes, definitely.
and is there any kind of a cumulative log that is maintained on each child?
Yes.
And you can then tap into it and know the level of achievement for each child.
That's right. And each, assuming they keep the, what happens, I usually suggest is they either use a alphanumeric code or a student number or something that specifically has that student's record on it, and they could keep it throughout their years in the system, and you can track it that way.
What is your ideal ratio of child who's reading the classroom?
Time on?
No, how many screens would you like to have in the classroom for each child?
That really depends on how many students are in the class and how the teachers are going to manage it. We like to see any improvement. We like to see the students on between 60 and 90 minutes per curriculum area. So if we're talking, if we want to work in their reading, math, and language arts, we want them to be on for 90 minutes for each of those curriculum areas per week. So it really depends. Right now we have 6 stations that are in each of the rooms upstairs. So that if you have a class of 24, you can move them in 4 different areas. And it really, you look at how many students are optimal in the classroom and how you can move them through that in particular.
We should probably, technology is where it belongs here. It's in the classroom. A lot of schools have it set up in a separate laboratory. They bring the whole class down, they all do it. They all use the system at one time. They go back to class when the class comes in. My own personal vision is for this technology to be out in the classrooms like it is here, to allow the greatest flexibility in scheduling and in use. The other thing I didn't mention is our management system aims can launch other third-party courseware. So we can make available to the student other items, non-Whitecat, non-Jocelyn's courseware, Rotobund, or as long as it's Novell, aware, and networkable, we can launch it and deliver it. Now, we don't do the record keeping we do on our own, but we can make that available over the network to each student. The other thing is that my feeling is that this is one of the vehicles for reducing pull-up costs, although Chapter 1 is not a large program in Winchester. As you know, in many urban school districts, the cost of pulling youngsters with federal money from Chapter 1 out of the regular classroom for special small group work is quite high. And this kind of a vehicle can allow these youngsters to remain in the regular classroom and receive service. In the same way, the special ed youngsters are now more likely to achieve success in a regular classroom with an individualized program like this with minimal pull-out to special programs. I thank you, and we should probably hold any other questions at this point, and I look forward to seeing you up in classes.
If you didn't notice, that gentleman who slipped in a little while ago is Steve Kelly. I didn't give him directions, so I'm not responsible. Thank you, Jack. Before we move on to part two, I'd like to make one last point about integrated learning systems. After the introduction of an ILS, schools continue to teach as they do now, and gain very little for the added expense. But if teachers use the extra time to assume new roles, to create rich learning environments, to work with children in developing the type of higher order thinking that will be required for full participation in the future, then we begin to see the elusive promise of technology in education. I'd like to preface this next section, next part of the program, with this quote from Ralph Tyler's book on curriculum instruction written in 1949. He says, "The term learning experience is not the same as the content with which a course deals, nor the activities performed by the teacher. The term learning experience refers to the interaction between the learner and external conditions in the environment to which he can react. Learning takes place through the active behavior of the student." As I mentioned earlier, the overriding goal of our curriculum efforts is to improve the quality of the interactions that take place within the daily routine of the regular classroom. Interactions can take place in the traditional sense, teacher dispensing knowledge to students. There can be interactions between students in structured activities such as the case in cooperative learning. Interaction can also occur between students and technology. The primary purpose of the expanded pilot is to determine whether interactive video can be effective in promoting enlightened self-discovery by providing access to information, by providing tools to organize and manipulate not only data but also sound and moving video, by engaging children in exploration in a compelling context, by accommodating differences in learning styles, by allowing students to organize and display content in alternative forms. This is one more way we can use technology to achieve our curriculum goals. It's our belief that the ability to work with information in these ways are key to success in the information age, and therefore they are key to successful teaching in the information age. And since technology itself is creating the information age, it's only reasonable then that we need to make available and use advanced technology to prepare students for the future. The effort to build a wide area network in Winchester is a cooperative one, involving all of the companies represented here tonight. I'd like to thank Continental Cable and the Cable Advisory Committee for their support, especially Jack Corr, Steve Swan, and school committee representative Mike Poole. Jack here taking time to spend a number of our meetings. This time, I'd like to introduce Jen Owen, Vice President of Continental Cable.
Thank you, Guido. As I was sitting here collecting my thoughts, I have to tell you that I was reminded of that commercial about the guy who says, "I'm not just the president of the hair club for men, I'm also a client." Because in the same way, I'm not just the vice president for Continental Cablevision, I'm also a client of the Winchester School. I have 5 children in K through 9, at Ambrose, at McCall, and at the high school. So I'm really pleased personally to be part of this and to have learned a little bit from Guido and the others about what this learning experience can really be. On behalf of Continental, I'll be brief. I'm not an engineer, so I really can't tell you a lot concretely about what's going to happen here. But Continental will provide the area-wide network to take that computer project that's networking within the Vinson Owen School and distribute it to all the schools throughout Winchester, if this project is successful and the town decides to do that. So, on behalf of Continental, I'm very pleased that we can provide that. And in addition, through our license, this transmission is also provided at no cost to the town, a not insignificant part of it.
I tell you, fella, you can have 6 kids in the schools.
the same price.
Yep.
Thank you. So we're pleased to be here. I want to take a moment to just give credit to Jack Korf and Peter Svan. I forget who else may have worked with you on the institutional network research. But the INET is part of our license with the town. And it's a vastly underutilized resource. In most communities, it lays dormant for 10 or more years. And so from our side, we're really pleased to see it being put to good use like this. And so we're pleased to be here and look forward to the success of this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. At one of the other end of the table, you'll find Jim Albright. Jim is senior consultant, resident guru of interactive technology and digital. Jim has played a major role in developing the pilot. In a few minutes, he'll give you a glimpse into the future.
Thank you very much, Guido. I'm going to be mobile here, so I will turn up the sound a little bit here. I'm with Digital. Digital's in the process of working on the next generation television infrastructure, which will be digital. We spell that with a big D as well as a little d. And the next generation television system will not just be better pictures and better sound and make better couch potatoes, be a very powerful tool to make America more productive. And that's our primary role. And we're working with the cable television multiple systems operators such as Continental. And before we came to Winchester, we asked Continental to bring the network up for us. And when we got the network up and running, we found that Continental indeed had one fantastic network and was able to come very nicely. Rusbe Yassini, who works for Land City, he turned the network digital, shall we say, interactive, very peer-to-peer. And Paul Dettoli will also explain how his systems work through desktop video systems. What I want to do in the next few minutes is to sort of walk you through all these various pieces of technology here. I think you're starting to see now that this technology is somewhat layered. You saw Continental layered on the physical network. You saw Jocelyn with their layered software. Rusbe will talk about his digital interactive, and we'll talk about multimedia and a variety of other things. Before I get started, though, I'd like to call in my partner, John Kaufman, who is now over in Ambrose. John, are you there?
Hello, Jim.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How am I coming through?
You're coming through loud and clear. I'm going to explain a little bit about what's going on here, and then John's going to explain a little bit about what's going on there, as well as transfer interactive data across the community at a full 10 million bits per second. That's like a local area network that's contiguous throughout the entire town. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about how all of this gets connected. And John is at the location where the information is located. It could be any place. It could be at any school. It could be any location. John, could you tell us a little bit about the data that you have over there and what your role is?
I certainly will, but before I do that, I'd like to take care of a very important piece of business. I'd like to introduce Rick Rogers, who is the principal over here at Ambrose. I just want to welcome everyone to Ambrose. We're up on the 3rd floor, in the 4th grade open area, and we're very excited to be involved in this project and looking forward to having the network located here where 2 classrooms will have access to the equipment. So thank you very much. I'll turn it over to John. Thank you, Rick. It's a lovely school, and as you can see in the background, the students here have been very creative. What we're attempting to do with all this technology is give them a whole new set of things that they can work with as students to be more creative and extend their creativity into many new dimensions.
I'm going to pick up the microphone here. I can do it without feeding back. And we'll walk over and take a look at what we have here. Down on the floor, we have two pieces of equipment. We have here a server that has files and information, data that might be used by students in any of the schools into which the network is running. This needn't be the only server, but today it's the only server we have running. And this information now can be shared and accessed right over in your school on the systems that you have running across the cable television network, the institutional network that we heard about just a few minutes ago. The box sitting next to the server is the modem that allows the information on that server to be piped through the cable system and delivered to the similar box that's on the stage over where you are. This is a particularly exciting piece of technology because what it does, it allows the networks, the high-speed networks that we use in work every day, to be extended throughout the community. The first step, of course, is connecting the schools together so that students can share information and even interact with each other shortly across that cable from classroom to classroom. But you can imagine very rapidly over the next few years, this capability will be able to be extended all the way into the homes. And I'm not sure where all that's going to lead, but I'm confident that it's going to create a whole new world of opportunity for the delivery of education, for the interaction of students, and the participation of students and teachers in a collaborative educational experience that goes into many new forms and opportunities. We have other computers here, some of them with different kinds of logos on them from the one that we're working with. But that's okay too, because all of these computers will be able to be networked together and used, getting the most out of the resources in the schools. So that's what we have over here. What do you have over there?
Well, John, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the systems that we have. Over on the far right, Paul will talk about a little bit about that later, but what we have there is the picture in the computer of what's going on over in Ambrose. And over here in the center, that information is coming from Ambrose, and if I click on the mouse, say, for example, it picks up another picture, and so forth. So we're actually interacting across the cable network. So we're interacting, not only John and I are interactive across the network, but we also get data running across the network too. And we have one of these same units like you saw with John, communicating back and forth. And these can be in any school, and eventually we're going to get them into every home. That's where the next generation television infrastructure comes into place. And then over here is what, in fact, where I ran across Guido at Deck World. This is our Deck World presentation. That's where digital brings 25,000 or so people together every couple of years down the Boston waterfront. And Guido came by and saw this and says, let's talk, Jim. In fact, what we really have here is all digital pictures and sound. In fact, I can bring up the sound of what's going on here. Let me do that. This is coming from a disk across the network. And I can just touch the screen and it'll go to the next event and so forth. And we can do this with students' lessons. We have yellow pages, we have electronic newspaper, we have activities that are going on in Faneuil Hall, say, for example, a whole variety of things. But
Hi. Oh, you're going to love this. It's all going to be very easy if you don't mind touching my screen. I've got everything you want to know about Deck World right here at your fingertips, thanks to the folks at Digital Equipment Corporation's Image, Voice, and Video Group. If you're looking for the action on the demonstration floor, touch this Deck World directory button up here. When you get in the mood to rub shoulders with some of Digital's star customers, try Customer All-Stars.
Later on, you'll be able to come over here and touch the screen and do some one-on-one with this particular gentleman here. But he's stored digitally in a server on the other side of town, and it really can be any place in town and so forth. So what we're really trying to show here is totally distributed peer-to-peer networking, where lesson plans or administration material or educational material really can be any place, accessed from any place. And most importantly, being very lucky to have the cable network that you have here in town, which really is the infrastructure that allows us to pull all this together. John?
Yes, Jim.
You still with us?
Oh, I'm here.
What are some of those nice things you have behind you there? Is that something you did while you were waiting to come online there?
No, in fact, Rick was telling me this is some artwork and some work that the students have done in the school here. Apparently there was some redistricting in the schools, and so there were some new students here, and what they'd done was made a good effort to introduce all the new students to the students that were familiar with the school, and they put it up here to show you some of the creativity.
Beautiful. Now redistricting, that's nothing like restructuring that's going on in digital or anything like that, is it?
No,
okay. You weren't confused on that.
But I think someday we're going to see students working on the computers themselves, not only creating colorful pieces of artwork like that, but creating their own videos with audio and mixing them together. There's some work going on down in Atlanta that I was talking to the people at Georgia Tech today with an application like that where they pick bits and pieces of video and audio from a library that they have and put it together and make their own videotapes right out of the computer.
In fact, I saw the 96 Olympic rings in your class there, not too far away this morning when you put that in. Very exciting times happening.
So we're at the beginning of some very exciting things, and I'm looking forward to getting it going right here.
Why don't we let some of the other folks tell us about what's going on? Rusbeh, you want to tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing with us? Rusbeh Yassini. He is the president and CEO of Land City Corporation.
As Jim mentioned, we are trying to put a system together in order to make the communication and connectivity seamless and work for everyone. What we're really doing, we're building for this country a new information highway. Back in 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we have all seen what the benefit of making a physical highway has had. Here the goal is to be able to use the present existence cable TV infrastructure and make information highway out of it. Why would we like to put data over cable TV? For years we have seen the benefit of the phone system work with us for two-way, to have a two-way capability. What we're trying to do in this communication, make the cable TV, which has higher bandwidth or has higher capacity, the same infrastructure as we are accustomed to with our phone system. In this way, we can pass a lot more information, as mentioned by Jim, by directional from one school to the other school. Let me show you the communication, the way it has shaped itself in industry so far. We all are familiar and have heard these buzzwords: LAN, networking. Local area networking in 80s was one of the key important elements in the corporate America in order to make our workforce more productive. Within the building infrastructures that the corporate was working, everybody connected computers together and they start functioning. The wide area networking has been working for a long time as we've been transferring information from East Coast to the West Coast and so on and so forth. What we are trying to do in this case, get the benefit of the local area networking that has been done in the last 10 years, add the functionality of the wide area networking within a city infrastructure by using the cable TV in order to give the same capabilities regardless where the buildings are connected. What does all that mean? This means within the city infrastructures, a cable TV system could be utilized to connect all these buildings together as they were physically in the same place. Information that we are accustomed to, that we have worked with for a long time, now can transfer seamlessly within the cable TV infrastructure from one building to another building. For example, Doctors at home can now access an X-ray information at night quickly and very fast as he or she was in the hospital to be able to evaluate that information. By the same time, the school system can tie on the resources of the universities or colleges where they can work together in order to be able to share the computing power available to each building, which is used to be not connected together in a seamless, now becomes reality. What this provides is a way to be able to utilize our already existent infrastructures and pass the type of information we require to make us more effective and efficient. This is not something new. This is not a new product that just came in the market and this is the first time it's going to be installed. We have been working with universities, hospitals, and government centers in the last 5 to 7 years to be able to build this type of infrastructure around the country. In fact, if you look at the way the system shaped itself, the government facilities, a military base or university had multiple buildings. Their problem was they wanted to have video conferencing, they wanted to have computer connectivity, and at the same time, they were supposed to be networking with outside. That's what the word broadband came from, and to be able to use the cable TV infrastructure to do that. As we go in this decade, the cities and local governments are now approaching the same solution to be able to use that technology to get the same thing done. In the past, you might be familiar that our cable TV infrastructure was providing regular TV programming. Now, via these connections, we are able to do multiple programming of the computer-aided services as an information highway to become available, as was mentioned by Jim and John, not just between the school, but also to students' home, and so on and so forth. Adult education, handicap education, all those now become reality, where the computing power can be utilized and be able to put all those things together. The way we are migrating in this industry is basically taking those connectivity which we started from institutions and municipality and we're moving all the way down to consumers' home and the work-at-home type of a concept, where you don't have to get in your car to go to work to log into your workstation to get a job done. You might want to do that for other reasons, but getting the job done should not be the reason to get in the car and be able to drive to get to that place. The reality of this communication is to be able to provide what Jim Albright has been referring to as a community multimedia networking. A platform in which it does not matter where you're located at. The connectivity and the power of the computing now becomes available to you as the information has come through cable TV infrastructure. Our role in these proposals that we are working and populating the industry with is to be able to provide the boxes that connect the cable TV standard to the computer standard and make that communication to become seamless. I'd like to take the opportunity and thanks for the staff that has worked with us to put this demo together, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to come in here to be able to present this thing to you. Jim?
Thank you, Rusbang. I always like this last slide. It always reminds me of the Quincy marketplace, where the buyers and sellers come together. This is really what we're doing. The people who have the information and the people who need the information, the teachers and the students, the collaboration that takes place. So what we're really building over a long period of time is really a information utility, very much like electric power and water and so forth, where the information is available. And Bruce Bay, I know, is working very hard at this, and very serious, and some of his staff is here tonight, and later on we'll have a chance to chat with everybody. John, you still with us there?
I'm here.
You're looking good there, buddy.
I'm not too shiny.
No. You should have worn your hat. It's okay. The folks understand here. I want you to be sure and come by after you get done and meet some of the folks here, John, and show them how to run some of this equipment here. So, but don't run away. I want to bring Paul over. Paul Latoli from Desktop Video Systems is going to demonstrate a little bit from his computer over here. In fact, there's John. How did John get on there, Paul? Can you tell the folks about that?
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here this evening and to talk to you a little bit about the system that we put together at Desktop Video Systems. This is a new corporation formed specifically to address the marketplace of getting video to the desktop. Whether the desktop is in education, in business, or what have you, we see the needs of this type of information, and we see the horrendous market projections that are out there about this marketplace in this decade. I'd like to begin by saying this is my real hair. Stop here. The system that I have here that I'm going to demonstrate, it's basically, this unit is the key component. And what it allows us to do is it allows us to receive video, to put it through a basic PC or a Mac or a variety of other systems, and to put it up on the screen in a window so that we can view the video in that window on the screen while we do other things. And one of the things that I will do here is I'll show an application. As you see, John on the other end is one window I have now. I can make that the full size of the screen, thus turning this basic PC now into a television if we wanted to. And we have the cable feeding right through these boxes into the PC as John moves around. If we wanted to, there's different effects we can do here. For instance, I could freeze him. And with some of the packages out there today, you know what I could do to John? Right now.
Careful, Paul.
So, I know you'll get me there. And then if I unfreeze him, he's back to normal and can move around. In addition, I have a VCR here tied into the system. And one of the things I want to do is play a little bit of an educational video I have in here. I'm an active faculty member at Northeastern University, and I lecture on the topic of communications networks, particularly local area networks. And I've done a number of broadcasts for the National Technological University, which is a nationwide satellite service providing education to universities and corporations in the military. And here's a video I'm going to play a little bit that talks about LAN technology. And then what I'll do is, this is playing, I'm going to bring up a word processing window. So as the video is playing up top, I could actually be entering notes, which I can print later, or electronically mail to another student, or what have you, to signify the collaborative work environment we've been talking about. And it's only through the mass media, the mass dissemination of information that we can achieve through networks such as cable TV networks, that this is easily done in this case. Let me hit play here. Jim, you have my audio tied into your little mixer if you want to get going for me. You have to bear with me. I'm using a regular PC color VGA monitor to do this. I have a large screen, so you have to just kind of bear with me. Talks about how to interconnect PCs using the Novell product, which this is running off of at this time. There's Mutt and Jeff. Hi, welcome to linking PCs in the 90s using Novell. My name's Paul Dottoli, and this is my associate, Jim Stewart. And together we're going to deliver this program to you. So basically, Jim, I want to begin turn the audio down. A student could be sitting at their desk right now with their own system, viewing this video coming through, and some of the things we can do with it are this. I'm going to take the picture right now, and I'm going to scale it down to 1/4 of its size. Now I have my word processor all set up beneath this, and I'm going to take the picture, move it over a little bit, get it right where I like it on the screen, maybe shrink it a little. And now I'm viewing the video, and at the same time, now with my word processor down here, I can be entering notes about this video. I'll just type away. Might want to make an outline of what I'm viewing. If there's a scene in there that's of significance that I really want to dwell on a little longer, I can freeze that scene right there and enter a few notes. Oops, I have to come back to this window. Enter a few notes, and then I can go back and resume the video, and back it goes. And the audio comes out a little speaker that's right here, actually recessed within the unit. This is a working prototype. There's a little microphone in there as well if I was doing another application, which is desktop-to-desktop video conferencing, which is another version of this unit. You can actually sit at your desk, look at your screen, and have another person appear in this window talking to you, and you talk to them. And when we interconnect buildings together, such as we're doing here with the cable TV network, we can have this capability going on within buildings where officers can connect and talk to each other, as well as link buildings together. An individual in one building could be talking directly to someone in another facility right at their desktop. So there's a wealth of applications here that this technology addresses, and I just wanted to introduce a little bit of it to you. This is basically off-the-shelf components that we've identified and packaged properly, and with our expertise in networking technology, have brought it to market this quickly. And it can address the educational arena as well as the business arena. Thank you.
Super. So you see, we got a little bit of everything tonight. So as soon as we finish with our speakers and break for these various labs and so forth, we can look at each one of these and play a little bit more and ask any questions that you have. How you doing, John?
I'm fine. How's everything over there?
We're going through the various speakers, and I'm going to hand it back to Guido now. So and Guido will introduce some more speakers, and why don't you come on by?
Okay, I'll be over.
And we'll show the folks close up.
Okay, before we go, let me invite Rick to say goodbye, too. After all, he's our host tonight. Say goodbye, Rick. Good night.
I like this school.
I'll be over in just a few minutes. Bye now.
See you, take care. I think the important point here is you can be comfortable with this technology and enjoy it and have fun with it.
Kelly, we need to talk.
We just came from a parent-teacher conference.
Mrs. Jones thinks you're a very bright student, but you need to pay more attention to your homework.
But, Dad... Let's make a deal. You set aside enough time to do your homework, and we'll take the time to check it with you every night.
Okay, Mom.
And the next time we talk to Mrs. Jones, she'll be as proud of you as we are.
Today's students need all of us.